Lance and his friends had a nice 5-day weekend off of school and decided to go camping in the woods in northern Georgia. They packed a 10-person tent for the 5 people in the party, 2 guys, 3 girls, and loaded everything up into his buddy's truck. Now, Lance and his buddy, Todd, both had experience out in the woods camping and hiking and hunting, and Todd was actually an Army vet. So they knew what to pack and had all kinds of amenities like a camping stove, propane grill, fold-up cots, portable shower. They were in it for the whole weekend. They left Wednesday afternoon, parked the truck in a small town, and started hiking to find a camping spot. And it was a fairly normal hike until about 4 or 5 miles in. The first time they noticed something strange was when they stepped into a big clearing that had a big pond or a tiny lake in it. When they stepped into the open area, everything stopped. No birds chirping, no squirrels running around. Even the clouds and the wind seemed to have stopped. So Lance and Todd are thinking, there must be a predator nearby. And they both pulled out their handguns just in case. And Lance says he's never seen a bear in Georgia, so he was thinking maybe it was a mountain lion or maybe some coyotes. Now he and Todd are looking around the edge of the clearing when Todd grabs him and nods over to the other edge of the lake. And Lance looks over and sees what appears to be a woman standing at the water line. She was maybe 150 yards away, and they assumed that she must live in the area. So they just kept walking past the clearing. And as they headed into the woods, Lance looked back to where the woman was, and she was gone. And the sounds of the forest returned as they got deeper into the woods. So they made a campsite about 2 miles later, as it was kind of starting to get dark, and they didn't want to get stuck trying to set up camp in the dark. They got everything all unpacked, set it all up, built a fire, popped a couple of beers, and sat down to hang out. Now, Lance was interested in one of the 3 girls on the trip. So, after a few beers and some flirting, the sun was down. They snuck away from the fire under the pretense that she needed his help setting up part of the tent. They start fooling around, and after a few minutes, she stops and looks at him kind of funny. Lance asks her what's wrong, and she says, nothing, it just got really quiet. So they both got dressed really fast and headed back out to the fire. And the others hadn't noticed anything strange, didn't mention anything except joking with them that it took them a long time to fix that tent. On the first morning, they discovered that the propane stove had been left on but not ignited, so it had gone empty overnight. None of them had used it. The second morning, they discovered that some things had gone missing. A lantern that they'd left outside by the fire was gone, along with Lance's crush's sweatshirt that she had left on a folding stool. But they just figured they were just misplaced, or that somebody had just used them and not put them back. Friday, their second full day, they were hiking trying to find a waterfall that they saw online was supposed to be in the area. They were following the river upstream when everything went silent again. Todd nudges Lance while they're walking and points to the top of the hill next to the river. And Lance looks up through the trees and is just barely able to make out the figure of the same woman, same clothes and all, just standing there. And he couldn't tell if she was looking at them or not, but she was just standing there. So Todd tells the girls he thinks he sees a mountain lion. He's going to go scare it off. So he goes scrambling up that hill, making all kinds of noise, and comes back down about 10 minutes later. And then he tells the girls he scared it off. And then he tells Lance that when he got up there, the woman wasn't there anymore. They found the waterfall, and the guys were able to put the weird woman out of their minds because the girls decided to go skinny dipping. After having a little fun, they hike back to camp only to discover that their camp is a mess. It's not totally trash, but it's clear that something had gotten into their stuff. So Lance and Todd tell the girls it's probably raccoons, but they both take their guns to bed with them that night. That night, Lance remembers waking up to the girl that he's crushing on squeezing his arm. And as he opened his eyes, she hushed him before he could ask what was wrong. There's complete silence all around the tent. And as Lance looks around the tent, he sees that Todd is also halfway up, kind of looking around. So they both stayed awake for the next 2-ish hours until the sun started coming up, and they packed up all their stuff and headed out. Now, the entire hike back to town was eerily silent, and there were a couple of points where Lance actually saw the woman through the trees, but he couldn't get a really good look at her. They avoided the lake completely and got back to their truck in what seemed like about half the time that it took them to get out there in the first place. After they were safely on the road back home, Todd and the girls all start telling each other about all of these times that they had seen or heard this woman all weekend, but were too freaked out to tell anybody about it. Like maybe she would just go away if they ignored her. And the wildest part was that no one could describe her face. It was like it was blurry.